Hello everybody. I want to thank everybody who made it out. I really appreciate it. We're going to be looking at the Main Street program. Jo Hamilton is from Heritage, Ohio. She is here to give you an overview of what it can do, what it's done, and what steps we need to take next. I really appreciate the residents that have shown up, the businesses, and the city manager and mayor back there. Thank you. If you have any questions about this after Jo leaves, please feel free to contact me. Laura and I are going to be reaching out to you guys again over the next several months so that we can get the ball rolling on this. I also wanted to let you guys know, since you're here, if I hadn't mentioned it before, the city has gotten the CDBG, the whatever grant, 50-50 grants is what I call it, where we can meet half of storefront improvements. So if you're interested in it, please let me know. We'll probably have the applications in 2 or 3 weeks, and we can get that to you. I think that we're looking at a $5,000 cap. Is that?
Yeah, that's
so,
kind of what the thought is, but
right.
we're ironing those details out now.
What is there? Please take advantage of it. We have money and we have to spend it. So, which is not often that the city tells you that, right? So, all right, I'm going to hand it over to Jo. Well, actually, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No,
Okay.
just thank you all for coming and for listening to us pound on your doors. And
Yeah. So, I'll hand it over to Jo.
terrific.
Yes, I'll reiterate that. Thanks for being here. I always appreciate a captive audience. So as we go through the Main Street program and concept, I'll kind of share a little bit about some example communities, but please feel free to stop me at any time. You know, you're not going to put me off course by asking questions, so don't feel like you have to wait till the end. I'm happy to engage sort of in a conversation while we're here. So the path to becoming a Main Street. Heritage Ohio is the overseeing organization for the state that operates under the National Trust and under the National Main Street Center to manage the Ohio Main Street program. So that's just one facet of what we do. Our mission is to save the places that matter, build community, and live better. It's a mission that probably every community could take on, right? I mean, it's exactly what we all want to do, especially in our homes. So we focus in revitalization. That's the Ohio Main Street program. We provide technical assistance to communities across the state. What's great about us being a nonprofit organization is that I'm not necessarily held to some sort of state rule that says that I can't provide assistance to somebody that's not a member. So we don't hold anything too close to our chest, which is something I love about working for in the nonprofit world. We help communities regardless of membership, of course. It also means that we are a membership-driven organization, which is how we get about 1/3 of our funding too. So we manage the Ohio Main Street program. We have 22 full Main Street programs at this point. We have 34 affiliate level programs that are hopefully working their way to becoming full Main Street programs. And then I've got about 15 communities right now, which you all are on that list, of just communities that are engaging with us and considering embarking on this process. And we focus on a 4-point approach: design, promotion, organization, and economic vitality. So you'll hear a little bit more about that as we go through. Another arm of Heritage Ohio is our preservation. Frank Quinn is our Director of Preservation. I'm the Director of Revitalization, so I handle the Main Street program. He handles the preservation end of things. Things like our Top Opportunities programs, historic tax credits, historic theaters programs. I'm sure you all have heard a ton about the historic tax credits. Ohio actually won a national award from the National Trust for our advocacy, so we do that as well. Joyce is our Executive Director, and she does a great deal of our advocacy work. So we work hand in hand with the state and local officials to make sure that programs and funding are both in place for our communities to, save the places that really matter to us. As I said, we operate under the National Main Street Center and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. So this is a nationwide program. It's not something that Ohio just made up. I believe there's only 2 states across the United States that do not have Main Street not do not have Main Street programs at this point. Some of those wind up being within state government instead of being a standalone nonprofit, which means that sometimes that funding can go away and that program can disappear. With us being a private nonprofit, then we have a little bit more protection when it comes to that. The Main Street approach, like I said, it is multifaceted. We have 4 points that we always focus on, which is sort of what sets it apart from a Chamber of Commerce or a Downtown Business Owners Association. I hear a lot of communities say, well, we're already doing events in our downtown. Well, the Main Street program is so much more than events. We're focusing on the economic vitality. We're focused on historic preservation and making sure that we're creating place. You know, we want people to come to the downtown and to stay there, right? And in order for that to happen, we have to have reasons for them to feel like that's a place they want to be, and we've got to retrain them to get there, right? So, so everything that we do should touch all 4 of those points, so they're all sort of integrated in all of our programs and projects, events, and activities. So the path to becoming a Main Street, there are 2 ways that programs generally come into the Ohio Main Street family. We have some communities that start at the downtown affiliate level. So years ago, you were either a full Main Street program or not at all. And there's an exorbitant application process. You have to have a paid executive director. You have to have a board of directors. You have to have an adequate operating budget. You know, we want to make sure you're financially stable and sound. But the problem was there wasn't that intermediary place for communities that were working toward that to receive some technical assistance to help get them there. So now we have the downtown affiliate level membership, which means that communities can come in at the affiliate level. The dues are a little bit less. They're $995 a year, but it gives you some of that technical assistance and access to the training, which a couple of your community members went to our promotion training in Kent this week, and so it helps those programs to be able to start growing and flourishing without necessarily being put under the requirements of being an Ohio Main Street community. But we also encourage communities to come in and do a DART visit with us. So it's a downtown assessment resource team visit. This is an example of an agenda that might take place when we come into your community. So we want to come into your community for about 2 days. Our team of 4 will come and we'll do a self-guided tour through your downtown, kind of get a raw view of the downtown. One community we were in, we started going around the downtown, and every place I went, we saw a no sign. No kids, no beverages, no dogs, no skateboarding, no bicycling, no public bathroom, no. And we took maybe 35 pictures from a downtown of no signs. So then the next day when we met with the stakeholders, we just put it on a slideshow behind us and didn't say anything about it, right? Eventually somebody says, why are you showing us all these no signs? I'm like, well, they're from your downtown. They had no idea. They really had no idea. So we try to give you sort of a raw visitor's view. You know, sometimes it's better to say, you know, public restrooms can be found, and tell me where I can pee, right? Instead of just telling me, no, you can't. So thinking about it from a little bit different perspective. So we try to give you a little bit of a raw view. We try to get a raw view of your community. And then we meet with a stakeholder group, which we help you assemble. We like for that group to be a good reflection of the community. It's great to have a couple of business owners, a couple of building owners, city, county if you can get them, somebody from your hospital, somebody from your library, somebody from the school system. We want to have a full view of the community when it comes to implementing this sort of program. And that initial stakeholder group agrees to put in at least a year's worth of work. So they know exactly what they're signing up for. I tell them between 5 and 10 hours a month for a year that they will commit to getting this program off the ground. And then at that point that it's appropriate, those stakeholder members can actually become board members for the long-standing 501c3 that the organization would become. So we put together this stakeholder group, we have lunch with them, we sort of glean as much information as we can from them. That's really a listening session for us. And then we do a community visioning session later in the evening. And that's where you can invite everyone to come. We ask people questions like, where do you go when you leave here? Where are the places that you go and you want to stay? Nobody goes on vacation and visits the Walmart, right? You go to Walmart because you forgot something. You forgot your toothbrush, you forgot your deodorant, but you're not going to go and look at how beautiful the parking lot is and how many free spaces there are, right? And you're not going to go into their really cute, quaint downtown and complain that you couldn't find a spot within 2.2 seconds, right? So we want to bring to the attention that you are losing people, you're pulling away from your downtown to other places that are providing this character and this sense of place, right? And how can we create it here? So what are we missing? How do we get people to sort of look at their own community and say, we'd rather just stay home this Friday instead of driving 30 minutes to somewhere else. So that community presentation can really show you exactly what what are people leaving for and what would they like to see here? What's that community vision? What are the things that are important, which are going to help us really establish with the organization what are our overarching goals? So do we want to be more family friendly? Do we want to be an arts community? So some of those things sort of start to rise to the top, what's really important, and who are you? Communities that I go into and they say, you know what, I went to Dublin, Ohio, and I want to be just like Dublin. I'm like, I might as well go home. I don't want you to be like Dublin. I don't want you to be like anybody else. Bedford is something special. Every community has a personality, and we want you to be exactly who you are. So we're not trying to create a cookie cutter, right? I don't want to live in a ticky-tacky little house, and you know what I mean? I want to help communities become exactly who they are. So the community presentation also gives us the opportunity to sort of sell the program to the community for you, to provide that expertise so that the community can really feel involved in the process and understand the process. And then the next morning we spend about 4 more hours with that stakeholder group. And that time is not based on an agenda. We don't put anything together for that meeting. We just kind of come and say, okay, now what? And listen to you, because you're going to have a ton of questions. You're going to want to know, what can I do right now? Because you're going to be excited about it. And then in 30 days or so, we will come back with a 1-year plan for you. And I love all these beautiful plans that lots of communities do, but so many times I see them and they have so much dust on them, it's so disheartening to me. I don't want that to happen. So we don't just send you that plan. I come and spend another 4 hours with you and your stakeholder group. And that return visit includes work planning. I want to have your first board meeting date set. What's the agenda for that meeting? Do you have applications in place? Can you start asking stakeholders to fill out board member applications, board member commitment letters? Exactly what am I signing up for? So I want to leave that session with you all having an easy win, something press releasable. What can we do right now to capture the volunteers that we've talked to in the last 30 days that are excited about the program, that then they can go into the downtown and say, we did that, right? Something that requires a photo and a press release. And that's going to help you build that momentum. It's going to help you build the volunteer base. But then we also want to help you put in place some longer range plans too, and sort of doing all those things simultaneously, as well as building the organization. So putting together your 501c3 paperwork, those kinds of things. But that report will have examples of everything you need. It's not going to be, apply for a 501c3, right? We're very much more specific about that. I can give you examples. I can give you, intention statements, anything that you need, and that'll all be in the long-term plan. So the Downtown Assessment Resource Team visit is it also comes with a year's worth of downtown affiliate level membership benefits. So that way, once I do bring you that plan, then you have Heritage Ohio at your beck and call for that year that you're actually implementing that program. So for instance, once you get your board of directors together and you want me to come and do a board training, I'll come and do a board training. You want to talk about board development, or you're having a hard time, getting the right people around the table, or you've been doing it for 6 months and you've already got your board and now you need another work planning session or a strategic planning session. We can do all those things and make sure that we're not just waiting on you to call us. I'm calling you and saying, how are things going? How'd that first board meeting go? Do you have your board set up? So these are the program benefits at a downtown affiliate level membership. So you get free training, you get free and unlimited webinars. All those things are there at your fingertips at any time that you need them, as well as the staff time. These are the Ohio Main Street and affiliate level members at this point. Actually, this map just in the last week got updated. So we're still in our beginning of the year updating everything. So if you look on our website, it's a little bit changed from that. But we also want you to build a really strong organization. So initially, that stakeholder group will be made up of the community, and they're going to step into leadership roles almost immediately. But looking long term, we don't want you to do that. We want to bring people that you know into the fold to come and help with a cleanup day, and then maybe somebody shows interest in leading the cleanup day, and then they're putting together the work plan, and then they're managing the committee that's doing it, and then that person eventually becomes a board member. So we want to help you learn to train leaders, and also to identify people who maybe don't want to be leaders, right? Putting the wrong leader in a leadership position is not a great thing to have to overcome. So we want to help you build that strong community immediately. This is our Heritage Ohio board. I didn't have a picture of somebody else's board members, but all these folks are doing like-minded work. When we're grown-ups, we don't get recess with each other, right? So we make friends by actually spending time with like-minded people doing things that are important to us, right? We volunteer. And that kind of becomes our recess. So the Main Street program is based on 8 principles, which we'll go through. Can't get enough water in me today. It's a comprehensive approach. There's not a silver bullet. There's not just one thing that you can do. You're not going to put in 60 flower baskets and have this beautiful flower display downtown and then all of a sudden everything's going to be great, right? We have to do that and so much more. So it's a comprehensive approach on picking all of the things that we need to be doing simultaneously in all 4 of those points to make sure that everything is lining up to actually revitalize the downtown. It relies on quality. If you are doing 60 flower baskets and 30 of them are dead, don't do 60 flower baskets. Do 30. So we want to scale back, do smaller, do the absolute best we can to make sure that everything that we do is of the utmost quality. It requires a meaningful public and private partnership. I'm always thrilled to see city staff and elected officials at the table when we start these programs. Programs like this do not work in communities where you don't have that support. It just doesn't work. If you're going to shut a street for an event, or if you're going to, use the fire department to power wash sidewalks, you have to have city support to do all of those things, and city financial support going forward. It has to be a financial and an in-kind partnership between the city and the local organization. Most of our Main Street organizations wind up adding to what would be city staff in the tune of sometimes 4 to 5 employees a year when it comes to what salaries would be if you equate the volunteer hours. So it becomes an invaluable program for the city too. This is one of my favorite examples. So I started with the Main Street program in 1999 as a tour guide. I just bought a historic house in Delaware, Ohio, and was in the process of rehabbing and also taking some public speaking courses to try to get over my fear of public speaking. You never get over that. You just learn to wear dark colored clothes so nobody knows you're sweating through them. So, but my neighbor came to me and said, we're starting this new Main Street program. We know you have a ton of personal history about downtown Delaware. Would you be willing to do walking tours for us to talk about this new Main Street program? Well, I kind of felt like that was sort of serendipitous that they're asking me to do all this public speaking, so I said yes. And so I started doing twice a month, 30-minute walking tours, told cute little stories about my grandma, and my first teddy bear came from the Nectar candy store, and all these kinds of things. And then we do 30-minute spiel on the Main Street program. At the end of that month, every month, I would call everybody that had been on my tour. How'd you like the tour? What'd you think of the program? Would you like to volunteer? And then once every 6 months, we invited all of those attendees to a breakfast, and we showed them a really cute, beautiful video about why we love downtown Delaware and why it needs so much help, because we were at 45% vacancy at that point. Our buildings were flushing toilets with buckets of water. The fire department was furious about all the extension cords. I mean, our buildings were falling in on themselves. And so we pulled all these people together. We really need to help and save the downtown, and we asked them for money. And that was how we got seed money to start the Main Street program. So working in that capacity has clearly brought me into a whole change of career field. I became the executive director there in 2007 and took the Heritage Ohio position just shy of 2 years ago. So it's something that I love, it's something I believe in, and it's great when you can get the full community behind it. So this is one example where that public-private partnership really comes together. It's just, we're putting in our Christmas tree. So the private landowner there, when he bought that corner where we had lost a building to fire, called me and said, I understand you put the Christmas tree here every year. What can I do to make that easier for you? So he actually installed a tree hole. I don't know if you've ever seen a tree hole before, but you can see one in Delaware. There's electricity down in there, and there's a ladder you can climb down into the hole. Warner Metal Works made this great heavy-duty tree stand for us. The crane service is Oberfield's crane service, so they go and pick up the tree stand from Warner and bring it into town. The city cuts down the tree for me. All these volunteers come and they decorate the tree. I mean, really, it's like a squish squish kind of day. It's you know, when you see that many public and private partners coming together to make one project happen, it's really huge. It's huge for your community, and it means a lot to everyone. So. But then, like I said, the city reaps a huge benefit from this type of programming. These are my volunteers using 2.5-inch fire hoses to scrub the downtown sidewalks. So my grandma told me, used to be when I was little, you know, then the fire department cleaned the sidewalks. When they would flush fire hydrants, they'd just blast off the sidewalks. I thought, well, I'm going to call up Chief Donahue and see if I can make that happen. So we started doing this every fall and winter, or fall and spring. We'd spend like 12 hours cleaning our downtown sidewalks. Start at 6 o'clock at night and go till 6 o'clock in the morning and do cleanup. I mean, that's something then the city doesn't necessarily have to do. Maybe they weren't doing it at all, but it makes a huge impact in the downtown. And these people will never walk over another piece of trash in my downtown. You spend 12 hours scrubbing sidewalks, honey, you will not walk over trash. So it involves changing attitudes. You know, attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference, right? And so many times in communities, our attitudes are, there's nothing here, no one comes downtown, that's not going to work, right? We have really bad attitudes about ourselves, and even to this day, I hear people say, in my hometown of Delaware, that's pretty good for Delaware. You do not want to say that to me. But that's what we do. We're really hard on ourselves. We're really hard on our community. We go other places and we see all these wonderful things, and then we're sitting right in our own town and we don't see those wonderful things. So Mayor, this is my mayor. So just be prepared. You never know what kind of crazy things they might ask you to do. But Wendell would have never done something like this until he became so emotionally attached to the downtown community, and then all of a sudden he started acting like an idiot just like the rest of us. So it focuses on existing assets. I already talked to you about being exactly who you are. For instance, the bottom left photo is Vermilion. This is them bringing in their Santa on a boat off the lake. That's because that's who Vermilion is. They are a lake city. That's who they are. It's exactly fitting for them. So we don't want to change who you are. We don't want to cookie cutter anything from another community. We want you to be exactly who you are. The Main Street program is a self-help program. It's a grassroots, get everybody involved. Hopefully you get a staff person at some point. But we want the full community to really start taking control of the downtown. When your core is strong and healthy, then all of a sudden all the limbs work a whole lot better. So it's really super important, and the Main Street program can focus just in that little tiny area and put all this work into that, and then all of a sudden you've got loads of volunteers that are actually caring about their downtown. And when you share those personal experiences, then all of a sudden people who haven't lived here their whole life, I've heard people repeat my stories about my grandma back to me. I've been telling those stories for 20 years, and everyone knows those stories. I had a college student actually say, I heard this really great story. I'm like, that's my story, thanks. So when you share your passion for your community, then other people just take it on like a cloak and they wear it. They don't have to have that deep-rooted history. You just have to share yours. And then all of a sudden they care just as much as you do. So this is one of my favorite little programs. These are all donated brooms. You get a little donation from Home Depot or something, 50 brooms or so. But the greatest part is that the card on the bottom, these all went to downtown business owners, and the card on it is actually instructions on how to use it. Right? Come out your front door, sweep your sidewalk every morning, right? But there's nothing more endearing to me than sitting on a bench in a small downtown and watching a business owner sweep their sidewalk in the morning. I love that. It endears me to my community. It makes me feel like they care. But how many times do business owners park behind their building, they come in the back door, and I know they do it because I'm in communities all across the state where I will go to a business and I have to weed through this much leaves at their front door. I know they haven't been out there because if they had, they would have got those leaves out of the way. So, just the community pride is a huge thing, and even for downtown business owners. So this was a really kitschy way for them to get their business owners to actually pay attention. It's incremental in nature. Like begets like, right? So it's sort of the suburban mowing lawn syndrome, right? When somebody mows their lawn, then all of a sudden the neighbors feel like their lawn's way too tall, so now they're all out mowing their lawns. So when you do 1 or 2 projects, when one building gets painted, then all of a sudden the buildings on either side of it really look terrible, so then maybe they get painted too. So we don't focus on the one landlord that's paying no attention. We focus all on this low-hanging fruit, the people who care, and we start doing the things that we can. And then eventually, like I said before, I love bandwagon jumpers. Love them. They're my most favorite people. I'm going to stand back here, I'm going to watch and see what you all do, and then when it's successful, I'm just going to jump on. Fine by me. Fine by me. So that's what we want, is to see that it's happening, it's incrementally happening, but it never ends, right? You don't paint a building and then all of a sudden you never have to paint it again, right? It's a constant evolving process. You don't check revitalization off your list, right? It just becomes more and more important. It becomes more and more elevated. Hopefully the storefronts are all full at some point, and now I just have to focus on retention, right? And then it's implementation oriented. I don't want to spend hours talking about whose responsibility it is to pick up cigarette butts. Let's spend that hour going out and picking them up, right? So we want to just, so I'll share a little bit about the structure with you. It's really set up just like any other nonprofit would be. You have a board of directors. Like I said, at some point, hopefully you have a paid staff person. And under the board of directors, we assemble groups that are going to focus in all 4 of the points of the Main Street concept, which is organization, economic vitality, marketing, and design. And these all sort of infiltrate each other. So when somebody says to me, well, my design committee's doing this program, and we really think it should belong with economic vitality, well, maybe the people who are the best to do that are on design committee, not on economic vitality. So it's really okay for things to ebb and flow. That's what makes the Main Street program fit with every community. It's a concept that really does work across the board. And it's because it's flexible enough to be exactly what you all need it to be. Organization provides that strong foundation. We want to, like I said, make sure we're building up leaders. We want to make sure that volunteers have exactly what they need to do the job what we're asking them to do. How much time is it going to take? That we've got work plans in place. That we have funding processes in place. That we have, bylaws and all the really fun stuff, right, happens at this level. Design is really going to focus mostly on historic preservation. We are at the core of who we are as a Main Street program, a historic preservation organization. But we can't preserve beautifully, wonderful, cared for buildings if they're all empty, right? So we have to have the full picture. But then we're also focused on little things like making sure that the downtown is clean. Do the benches face the street where I'm looking at the side of a car, or can I put 2 of them face to face so that I can actually commune with another person, right? So being more mindful about creating place in our downtown and places that people want to be and stay. Public artwork, making it pedestrian friendly. How does our signage work for pedestrians? Can I just get open flags for all my businesses? I love the open flag because it moves, right? I mean, when you drive through a downtown, pay attention. Can you tell if anybody's open or what's happening? You can't because you're driving. So we want to make sure that little things like open flags, you can order them by the gross and they're like 50 cents a piece, give them away. It's terrific. But those kinds of things like visual marketing for the businesses can be as simple as some open flags in the downtown. Promotion. So this is where we're retraining humans, right? It takes a long time to train humans. So we're not going to just do the one big event or festival in the downtown that took us 6 months and 12,000 volunteer hours to plan. And we got 10,000 people here for 1 day, maybe 2, and then we never see them again. We have to start regular programming. That's why First Fridays are so super successful. Because all of a sudden, I don't even need to read the poster anymore in my community. I don't need to know what's happening. I just know that absolutely, unequivocally, every First Friday throughout the entire year, I can roll into my downtown and I will run into somebody I know. I could be all alone thinking, I just want to hang out with someone, and I know I can go into my downtown on a First Friday. And really, people come like zombies to First Friday now. It took us a long time training those humans, but now they come. And now, because this First Friday concept is so widespread across the nation, that we don't even have to worry about branding it anymore. We don't even have to worry about trying to figure out what to call it. So those kinds of concepts, farmers markets work the same way. If you do a farmers market every Saturday through the summer, eventually people don't care who's at the farmers market or what vendors you have. They just come because it's communal. It's where I can find people when I want to be with people. So, and people are starving for that. We're so digitally starving for this actual, real, eye contact kind of situation that we don't get anymore. So I want the experience. I don't want to go to Target unless I have to buy toilet paper, right? I want to go someplace where I can actually interact with people and run into people that I know. So promotions committee is going to plan events, activities, promotions, projects in the downtown that regularly draw people to the downtown for some reason. And then in the meantime, if we don't have enough restaurants, then we bring in some food. If we don't have enough shops, we bring in some vendors. We have to temporarily plug in the things that we don't have so that then the bricks and mortar, all of a sudden it's like, how's come you brought in a food truck? Well, it's because you shut at 5 o'clock. That's why. Well, so if I'm open, then you won't bring the food truck anymore? Absolutely. You bet. Food truck's out like that. So those are the kinds of things that we can do to help grow the economic vitality in the downtown, right? And also start training the people to come. And businesses don't want to come and spend money and pay overhead and rent a space in a downtown where they come to and they don't see people. It's not a good business decision, right? It's really hard. So if I can highlight my downtown, and what happens is that people like me who really don't like First Friday, I know it's shocking for all of you to hear, but I really kind of don't like First Friday because I'm not a crowd person. I'm a really introverted person, and I like to go into my downtown when I can just sit quietly somewhere. So then all those people come on all the other Fridays. It's terrific. I mean, all of a sudden the downtown is full every Friday, and you don't even have to program it anymore. So we're not programming all Fridays, we're just doing one, and then it bleeds. It really does bleed. So, and then economic vitality. First and foremost, we want to retain the businesses that we have. Take care of who's here. I don't want you to be the cable company and say, these are special things for brand new people. I don't like that. So you have to take care of the businesses that are here. We want to retain those businesses. We want to do whatever it is that they need. And then when I talk about expansion or new businesses in the downtown, if I have a successful restaurateur, I'm going to ask him or her, do you want to open another location in the downtown? I've got the perfect spot for you. We would love to have you do a secondary location. So we want to do internal expansion first, and then we start recruiting. But we're going to act like a mall manager. As much as I hate malls, we're going to act like a mall manager and start looking intentionally at our building stock. What do we have? How do we go out and recruit intentionally the thing that will do well in this particular spot with these neighbors, right? So if you go to a mall, everything is placed, right? The mall manager gets to say where you go. You don't get to pick your spot. Unfortunately, we don't have that much control, but when you have building owners that are willing to help to let you recruit business, then you can sort of pick and choose. And we're not just putting for rent signs in the windows anymore and renting to the first warm body that's willing to pay me my first month's rent. Now all of a sudden I'm looking at 15-year leases, right? So, but economic vitality, we're going to focus on the business mix in the downtown. We're going to focus on the businesses that are already there and make sure that everybody's healthy. Like I said, the board of directors is just like any other nonprofit board of directors. Your initial board will be fleshed out from that stakeholder group that we assemble. But then, aside from that, we want to look at skill level, right? I need to have the skills around the table that are necessary to run the organization. Because at first, how much funding do you have? Probably none or little. So I want an attorney around the table. I want a bookkeeper around the table, right? So we have to look at the skills that we need to effectively run the board. And then we also want it to be a full reflection of our community. So hopefully we've got some diversity there. We've got some cultural diversity, male, female. I mean, if I have a board that's absolutely not functioning at all, then that's one of the first things I look at is male-female ratio. And sorry guys, I hate to say it, but when you have an all-male board, usually it's hard to get stuff done. Women push and get things done. It is what it is. Boys are different from girls. So once again, we're building leaders, making sure we're doing it intentionally. We're doing work planning. So overarching goals, like 1 to 3 goals, come from the board. We want to be more family friendly. And then I hand that goal to all of my committees, and then they come up with the creative work of doing the events, programs, projects, activities that are going to satisfy that goal. And everything we do is held up against our mission, which is revitalize the downtown. I don't care how you say that, but that. And then what goal? What goal am I satisfying? So that we're all working toward this really cohesive end piece when it comes to all of our programming. So your work plans become your strategic plan. I don't want you to have a beautiful plan sitting over here on a shelf and then have your work plans over here that are actually covered in coffee stains. Those need to be one and the same. Everybody always asks me about funding, and I always speak from the ideal, and the ideal doesn't always work out perfectly in our world, but we like to see our funding split into thirds, so a third from public, which is city, municipality, a third from stakeholder support, which is like memberships, friendships, partnerships, whatever you want to call it. We try not to call it a membership because you're a 501c3, so you're not getting benefits for that membership. They're joining because it's the right thing to do. It'll come, don't worry. And then earned income. Events, activities, promotions, projects that you can do to actually, bring in funds to the organization. And we have great examples of, you heard about Kent doing their chocolate walk. Chocolate walk is super easy. It requires almost no volunteer hours, and it makes money every time. People love chocolate, and they'll come at 10 degrees below zero to go in 15 businesses to get it. It's amazing. Just amazing. I wish I had 15 of those kinds of fundraisers. I wouldn't have to worry about funding anymore. Some communities do actual, like tchotchkes where they make Christmas ornament every year. Not everything works for every community. You have to figure out what's going to work for your particular community. And these are reinvestment statistics. And the one thing that I always like to point out, is it not on that one? So the cost for a Main Street program, for every dollar that's put into a Main Street program in Ohio, our reinvestment ratio for that is $29 for every $1 that's put into a Main Street program. Nationally, it's a little higher, it's $33 for every $1 that's invested into a Main Street program. But all of our Main Street programs that are at that full level are required to file these statistics with us. So they do monthly reporting on new businesses, new jobs created, buildings renovated, buildings that are sold, businesses that are lost, volunteer hours, in-kind donations, memberships. I mean, we start gathering that data so that we can prove our worth, right? We want to have that return on investment that we can give back to our stakeholders, to our community members that are contributing to our city. And then, the steps are pretty simple. So if that first initial DART visit, that 2-day visit, we'll give you that 1-year plan. The first thing amongst all the other stuff that you're going to do, it's going to be multifaceted and everything's going to move at the same time. You're going to do some easy win projects. You're going to start some planning for longer term projects. And you're going to start developing the organization. So putting together your board of directors, putting together your 501c3, starting to think about budgeting, fundraising, those kinds of things. And then when communities are ready, they can make application to become a full Main Street program. So when communities originally incorporate, we always say, make sure to say that the Main Street name is actually copyrighted at the national level. So that is a rite of passage. So new communities, we always drive you to some sort of name like,
Kent's Acre.
Yeah, downtown Kent, or, something downtown, something something along those lines. And then when you become a full Main Street program, you can do that name change, it becomes a big fanfare deal. And you can do doing business as Main Street. So, this is our staff. On the top is Joyce, she's our executive director. Then there's Frank Quinn, who's the director of preservation. I'm on there, director of revitalization. And then Pearl Jean Mabe, she's our downtown program coordinator. So does anybody have questions for me?
So the very first thing that needs to be done to get this rolling is to form an organization? Or do you need a down payment of a certain amount of money to show the intent?
Did you want to say something
I would
to
say-
that?
Yeah, I would say, so our plan at this point in time is we are going to do the DART, and so we are going to do fundraising for the $5,000. That's what Laura and I are going to focus on next. So I am going to make an ask from City Council for a third of that money. We're going to try to get donations for another third, and then do a fundraiser for the other third. So that we can get, from the beginning, this is a community effort. It's not City Hall did it, or, just this. I think a lot of people, in there you can hear her say that this is about keeping our businesses. It's about keeping the way Bedford is. I know a lot of the businesses downtown have felt a little neglected over the past many years. And I know that's not the intention of City Hall, but that's what is happening. With something like this in place, we would have something that puts the downtown area front and center, gives them a representative. It will not be successful without the businesses involved, which is why I know I've heard from all of the businesses in downtown that they don't feel like they have a way to communicate with City Hall. With the Main Street program in place, you have a board, you have somebody in charge, you have someone that can just, listen to all of the businesses, hear what they want for their downtown area, and then be able to go to the City Hall and say, hey, listen, my people said this, let's do that. So I want to start that mindset from the very beginning with the fundraising for this. Does that answer your question?
So that first $5,000, what do you plan on doing with that? Where does that take you?
The $5,000 gets us the DART, to have the DART assessment done. They'll come in and they'll help us put together a plan on how we move forward.
So the $5,000 goes to your organization?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yep, that covers
And that's what your
for-
initial down payment is to get involved?
right.
And that includes the free membership for the year, so it's ongoing support for the
Yeah.
year. And then if you stay at the downtown affiliate level for a few years after that, which most communities do, it usually takes 2 or 3 years before you're actually at a point of making application to become a full Main Street program. But the monthly dues for that are $995 a year. So just
For a full member?
Yeah, for an
Affiliate.
affiliate level
Right.
membership. Our full Main Street programs, their dues are $4,950 a year.
And that's it. And keep in mind, one of the reasons that I really like this particular program is that they've already been through it. They've been through it with several places that are in worse shape than we are in our downtown area. So that money is going to pay for that level of expertise. They're not going to just throw something at us and be gone. And I'm not looking for any one business to, make donations or anything like that. If you're not ready to do that, that's okay. I'm okay with that. But
Let me reaffirm what you said. If you're a full member, it's $5,000 a year, and if you're an affiliate member, it's $12,000 a year.
No, affiliate member is $950 a year.
Oh,
yeah.
you said a month.
Oh, no, honey, no.
Yeah.
No. If I said that wasn't what I meant.
Well, that's what I got it, but that's okay.
I know that that sounds like a lot of money, but what we're getting for that money is we're getting people who've already done it successfully. You know, I don't think anybody, I mean, and I've talked with the Main Street manager in Kent. You know, they were in really bad shape. They had to revitalize their entire, I mean, they had to restore their entire downtown. They got contractors in who volunteered time and services to help them do that. You know, their school system has a poverty rate of, I think, 92%. So, you know, a lot of people here in Bedford go, oh, you know, we have too much in the way of economic crisis. We can't do this. Kent did it, and they had a lot of the same problems we did, and this organization helped them do that. So that's one of the reasons I am excited about this. But I do want to hear from all of you guys about this. I want to hear your thoughts, feelings. I would like to see there be, you know, a downtown business membership so that, you know, you guys have a voice within the Main Street program so that the Main Street program can then represent you in front of City Hall and make sure you're not forgotten. Does that make sense?
Who's your competition?
Who's our competition? That's really interesting. Okay, so I would
Who else offers the
actually,
same thing you're offering as a Main Street program?
no one. No one. You can have a consultant come into your community. They'll probably charge you $30,000 for the same plan.
How much does our master plan cost, Mike? If we
It'd be about 25, 30.
Yeah.
$30,000, and all they do when they do your master plan, they're going to give us the same thing as a master plan, except when they come in with a master plan, they hand it to you and say, "There you go. There's the suggestions. Call us in 10 years when you need a new one," and then they're gone.
And if you want additional, then it's going to cost you.
Right.
And that's the thing with us being a private nonprofit. And what I was going to say, my biggest competition is probably me. Because if you all call me and say, okay, we're filing for our 501c3, can you send me examples of yada, 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 and you haven't paid us a penny, I'm going to send them to you. It's really okay. I want Ohio communities revitalized. I don't care how we get there. But I think that the ladies that were at the training can attest to the amount of networking, and that's really the invaluable part to this program. Having come from being an executive director and being a volunteer, first of all, the training is invaluable, and it's super affordable. And if you're a downtown affiliate, you get to send somebody to training for free. Even to state conference, there's no cost to send someone. And then on top of that, you get this, you know, these interactions with other communities. I mean, we all kind of feel like an island when we're in our own little small town, but nothing is new under the sun. You're each very individualized, but the problems are absolutely across the board. And everybody has those issues, and that network can really be huge. And like I said, with the report, you're not just going to get the report, but you're going to get a Dropbox folder that's going to have so much stuff for you to rip off and duplicate that you're going to do this when you see it. I mean, everything you could possibly need. If you want work plans for a whole year's worth of First Fridays, I can just send them to you, and you can do what another community is doing until you figure out what you need to do for yours. So, but that's the great thing about working in the position that I do, is that if I have a community that just wants to implement First Fridays, I'll just send them the work plans. It's really fine. I just want communities to do better.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of their events and their trainings at this point in time, and I can say that every time I've gone, I will tell them about what's wrong with our downtown area in terms of whether it be you know, difficulties with council, or whether it be, you know, bad business owners, bad landlords. And every time I'm down there, every other community has the exact same problems. And what this does is gives us access to those people who've already dealt with these problems successfully and say, how did you do it? What can we do? You know, what steps did you do? These guys aren't going to let us just founder. They want to see us succeed. When we succeed, these guys look even better. And also, you know, you find out how much your community is like other communities. But like she said, we don't have to be cookie cutter. We are Bedford. Let's keep Bedford weird. So, yes.
So population-wise of your 22 members now, what's your largest city in population that you serve that's a member, and what's the smallest?
So largest, we have the two smaller inner city communities in Cleveland. So I would say that that's easily some of our largest. Our smallest is Millersburg, and I think their population is 5,000 or just under 5,000. So they're actually not even required to have a full-time executive director. So if you're under 5,000, then you can have a part-time executive director and still be a full Main Street community. But they actually, in 2017, just hired their director full-time. When they started, they were at more than 50% vacancy. They instituted through the Main Street program a vacant property ordinance, and now every storefront is full in Millersburg. I mean, it's terrific. So, yeah, they're doing super well, and even financially to the point that they felt like they needed to hire their person full-time. So yeah, we have across the board, and I have that question all the time as well, are we too small? No, nobody's too small, nobody's too big. Downtowns operate the same across the board, regardless of how big or small you are.
I would also like to point out, just because I know we have people beyond the defined areas of historic downtown, I would love to see our historic downtown go from where it is now to a much larger swath of Broadway. I think that's something that we can work towards. So we are asking businesses in that particular, what we've determined to be the greater range of what could be a historic downtown, to listen and participate in this conversation as well.
Well, that's the great thing, is that the Main Street program is not just for the downtown. Its focus is the downtown, but it's for the community as a whole. And my hope always is that bigger industry is actually paying for my downtown. Because when you have a big employer come into your community, the first thing they want to do is find out about your schools and find out about your downtown. They want to know, do I want to live here? Where are they going to drop off their husband or their wife when they're looking for, talking to their new employer? We want to make sure that the downtown has a healthy core, but you're right, the great part about the Main Street program is that boundary, unlike a local historic district or something, doesn't have to be a hard line. I don't stand on this side and say I'm in the Main Street community and I'm out of the Main Street community. That's not the way it works. We want everybody to come to the table, even though our focus is the downtown.
The wages for the board, where is that funding coming from?
The wages for the board?
Are the board members, are they being paid?
No.
You said they hired the full-time director? You used the word, they hired
They-
a full-time director?
They hired their full-time executive director, their staff person.
Okay.
So that's just their paid staff person that manages the program. The board of directors and the full program, other than that one staff person, sometimes it winds up being two in bigger communities, maybe they're a little more financially stable, they can hire a second person. But no, it's an all volunteer run organization.
Okay, so the one-person funding, where does that money usually come from?
From the nonprofit. The
That's
third,
that-
a third, a third.
that-
So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
we're back to that,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. And on average, I tell communities that if you're looking for an example, it'd be great if you had a budget laid out to spend X amount of money. If you're hiring a full-time director, then I would love to see you projecting that you could bring in about $70,000 for the year. And hopefully you're getting donated office space. Hopefully you're, in the beginning, we don't want you to be paying for much of anything. We want you to, for instance, in Delaware, one of the things that I always struggled with was trying to get printing paid for. I needed the money from the event I was doing in order to pay for the printing for the event that I needed. I mean, it was like this crazy cyclical thing that I could never get a handle on because printing's so expensive. And when you print black and white, it winds up on the ground. So I had to have full color prints for everything. So I finally, our university, Ohio Wesleyan, was constantly saying no, 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 every time I asked him for money. So I finally asked the president of the university, I said, okay, what will you say yes to? He said, well, what do you really need? I said, I really need my printing. So they gave me a $10,000 printing grant. So all of a sudden I pay for no printing. They have an in-house print press. So I just send electronic. And that's where this network can come in, that's where I can come in. And when I see communities that made $10,000 on an event, but they spent $8,000, no. No, no, no. So, you know, for years I paid for catering. Well, don't pay for catering. You know, I mean, let's talk about how we can save money and take more profit and keep track of our in-kind. But that's where the program can come in and be helpful.
I think that all of us can agree at this point in time, and I'll get your question in a minute, Donna, I just wanted to say this. It's not working downtown, right? I mean, I think we can all say that. We want it to work, we talk about it working, but it's not. So we need to try something different. And I would like to see this be the different thing that we try. If you're not okay with it, then that's okay too. I need to hear that. But I also need to hear what you would like to try instead. Somebody had posted online another program similar to this. That's not Heritage Ohio. It's more just about revitalization of an area period. We can look at those too. So please speak up if this isn't what you think is best. But at this point in time, I just think we have to do something. So, and then Dot, what was your question?
Mm-hmm. Well, my question is, when we talk about downtown Bedford, the nucleus of downtown, what are the boundaries? And then when we talk about beyond, what are...
Well, so the historic downtown is currently, let's see, starts at 5 Points and goes to Coulis, or no, Dunham House.
It goes to Dunham House, but to, I think, Hulett on the other side of the street. So there's randomly a jog to, or not it goes to the Dunham House, and then
the square.
The gingerbread house is included.
What?
Handy side house.
Yeah.
Okay, Handy side, okay.
So just to
Just
keep the
beyond
pretty
that.
ones in.
So, but for what we, in terms of the businesses that we're talking to for this, we are going from DePompe's all the way to the Coffee Cup. So,
How about America? That's where you should go.
yeah, and like I said, in my head, what I would love to see 10 years from now is that we have what looks like a historic downtown going from DePompe's all the way to Coffee Cup.
Heather, how about American Turf from the railroad track?
Well, we can even go that's fine, because we actually have American Surf on the list. So I'm fine with that too. There's no reason that we can't. We have
Can do it your way.
yeah, we have that Willis Street project that's going on behind where it is. That would be nice to be able to include that too. You know, and I know that you guys are hearing these numbers and you're like, oh my gosh, where the heck are we ever going to make $70,000? Because I don't think any of our festivals currently make that. But but it's possible. These companies, you know, these places have done it, and it's possible to do this.
Yes.
Did I hear, did you just say 70,000?
That's what we need for. That's what she said for the.
That's the number we give communities for, if I'm gonna have a beginning budget.
But right now, this minute,
Right.
we're gonna raise $5,000.
Yep.
All right, I wanna say something. I've been watching these folks for at least the last, 5+ years. First meeting Joyce Barrett some years back, and we had Joyce here. At that particular time, it wasn't the right time. We were up to our ears in problems with Benvenue and God knows what. But I think what's so beautiful here is we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
It's here. It's a plan. And I now publicly want to say that I would like to donate to this cause. I pledge it now before you all.
So, thank you. I appreciate that.
Very much.
You know, that's what I'll be putting my money in. You know, I'm going to go before council and I'm going to make the ask. I'm thinking that our fundraiser, because I don't know why we don't have it anyway, we might be doing a pop-up t-shirt place to sell t-shirts, Bedford themed t-shirts to do our fundraising. If any of you guys would like to pledge, I would be more than happy to. I also understand if you're not ready yet. So,
Yes,
We don't have the time to wait. Let's get going.
Yeah. I love the program. I'm behind it all the way. And it's so much different than it was 5 years ago with the affiliate.
yes,
And that was the big hang-up 5 years ago. You had to have a director.
yeah.
Economics just didn't work. This is a great way to get it in now, and we're behind it. But how does this work with like our CDBG, or not our Community Development Corporation, which we are revitalizing, and we just got a grant for $45,000 from the county, and it's going to entail all of Broadway, not just downtown, the whole thing. How does that work with the Main Street? They seem to be similar but different.
So,
I mean, CDBG isn't going to do programs and stuff.
right, absolutely. And we have a lot of Main Street communities that are also receiving CDBG grant funds. Sometimes they, the city decides to, for the more mature programs like Tiffin and Van Wert, that the city's actually giving a stipend to the Main Street program to administer the CDBG grant. So that way, you know, it lightens that burden on city government. But regardless of what you have going on, if it's grants with the community block grant, if it's, you know, that the chamber does a First Friday event already, or whatever is happening, that's why we like to know and come into the community and figure out all those pieces. So I'm not going to say in my report for the Economic Vitality Committee to take on putting together a facade grant program, because you're already doing that. So we don't want to double work anyone, but we do want to be, as the Main Street group or the Downtown Revitalization Organization, we want to be at the table on those things and provide help. I always say that the Main Street programs are always the happy face family. We are that soft touch that can become really well versed in design guidelines or best practices, so that we can provide free design consultation to those business or building owners that want to embark on the facade grant program. So I'm not spending $5,000 already for an architect to do something that will never pass, or that would not be positively contributing to the downtown. So all those pieces can really work super well together, and I think it's great timing on that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes,
I only have one other comment.
certainly.
Have you met Jennifer? Some have.
Yeah.
She's our new business liaison to the Economic Development Department,
Terrific.
which she has come on board recently, but you'll be getting to know her more. Who's a good contact person too for the city.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, I have business cards with me. You'll notice my cell phone number is on this card. It's there for a reason, right? So don't be shy to use it. I'm on the road a lot. Email is really terrific, but even if you want to send me a quick text message, if you think of a question, you know, I'm happy to communicate with you in any way that is best for you all. So feel free to grab a card and reach out to me individually if you have questions, comments, concerns, anything that I can do for you in the meantime. You bet, sweetie. There you go. I saw that.
And the same goes, you know, for me, like I said, I'm actually a big proponent of hearing the negative side of things, because I miss stuff. I always tell people I'm the smartest flake you're ever going to meet. So, you know, if you have concerns, I need to hear them so that either I can make sure that they're addressed, or that I'm fully aware of what the heck I'm getting myself into.
How are you going to communicate with us going forward with another follow-up meeting?
Yeah, we're going to do another follow-up meeting. We have been working on getting your email addresses, so that will probably be the major way that we do a lot of just straight communication.
I got Zach's, but I don't have yours.
Okay, so, yeah, and we're gonna be continuing to build that database, so if you're not on it yet, we'll get you there. We will probably also start a Facebook page, just so that, since people are used to that format for open discussion. If there's any other way that you would like for us to communicate with you, please let me know. I would, more than happy to, if you're a Twitter person and you want us to communicate with you on Twitter, we can do that too.
I don't do any Twitter.
I don't do Twitter myself, but if that's what you need, then that's what we do.
I have a Twitter just because I have a Twitter,
so,
but I don't ever do anything to it.
So.
Sounds like such a strange statement.
Yes.
Just
Twitter in chief.
question. So we go with this, and we're looking personal contributions for it.
Sure.
But we're not a 501c3
That's
as
right.
yet. Can we write a check directly there and have it marked for the Bedford project? Or how do you do that so that we
I don't
get
know.
a tax write-off?
I haven't asked that. I'll ask my director that.
Okay.
But if you were to start the 501c3 paperwork, it becomes retroactive when you get
To
your
the
status to
date.
the day that you,
application.
So these
so.
are things that are good to know.
Yes, dear.
What comes first, the DART visit or the 501c3?
The DART visit usually. Usually,
That-
yes.
That kicks
Yeah.
everything off.
And we
Yes.
might, like I said, we're gonna be doing a fundraiser. I'm thinking, like I said, we're gonna probably sell some t-shirts. And maybe that's how we do it. Instead of getting donations from everybody, we just sell
Do you have a
Bedford.
community foundation, or you could even use a fiscal agent. So if I have an agreement with a fiscal agent that an example that I could send to you. So if you have a 501c3 active in the community,
Well, we have the CDC.
CDC.
yeah,
So-
then maybe you could just use a fiscal agent at first when you're taking donations. That would be great, and then
Yeah.
then
I
once
just
you get your
did a donation for my hometown. They have a bucket brigade to clean up the mudslide in Montecito, and the City College Foundation, which is a 501c, or C3, they were collecting with the channel. You just write on your donation that it's going to Bucket Brigade, and
yeah.
then they get the money in buckets and bags.
Yeah, so let me know if you need a fiscal agent agreement, I can send that to you.
Okay.
One last thing I think we should get on one page on this. Our historic district right now, that was on the National Register, and
Terrific.
they're the ones that set the boundaries. We wanted to
Right.
go further,
Sure.
and they restricted us. But I think we could enlarge it if the city has their own historic district,
Yes.
Right.
even if it's not on the
So that's
National
the thing,
Register.
is that National Register listing provides you nothing other than you can apply for tax credits for those buildings, right? It gives you no protection,
Right.
nothing.
Right.
Then you could have local historic district, which the city can decide what they want that boundary to be. Do you have local design review already for that district? So that's in place. The Main Street or the downtown revitalization footprint can be whatever you want it to be. You're a private 501c3 organization, you can draw it however you want to, keeping in mind that we are a historic preservation organization at the core of who we are. I don't want to see you drawing in all of the outskirt, strip malls, right? So we want to keep the downtown core, but it doesn't have to be a hard line. So this is a whole different thing, and we're not under any scrutiny for you to decide that it stops at this block. So if I have an in-home business in the neighborhood that wants to bring a booth into the downtown for my event, you know what I mean? It's a local business. I don't care. The more the merrier, but we want them in the downtown. So yeah, so those are the 3 tiers of like boundary, and we would never ask you to give me a hard boundary. I don't care what your boundary is as long as it's downtown.